folks. My name is Darshan, and I'm a Python software developer. For most of my work, I have been using unit test and nose to write and find tests. I recently switched to using PyTest, and so tonight I'm talking about the differences between unit test and PyTest and why you guys might want to switch to. So this is PyTest versus unit test. Fight! Okay, here's what we'll cover tonight. First, some context. How did this start? Second, what is PyTest? Third, how do you write PyTests, simple examples and real world? And finally, we'll summarize the differences and declare a winner. First, a little context. I started a new job and I noticed that we're not running all our tests. We need a test discovery tool. So I go to my favorite test discovery tool, Nose, and I find out that it's deprecated. On the web page, it says something like use Nose 2 or use PyTest. The Nose 2 webpage also directs folks to use PyTest. So I find out that PyTest can do test discovery. What is PyTest? What is PyTest, you ask? PyTest is a third-party module for writing unit tests. In addition, it provides test discovery. It will find all of your unit tests, including those written in doctest or in the unit test framework. And it will also allow you to find your test. PyTest provides all the features of unit test and nodes in one module. It's one module to rule them all. Okay, so PyTest sounds great. It provides test discovery and a way to write tests. But is it really better than unit test? I've been using unit test for years. Let's write some PyTest and see. So here's a basic unit test written as a PyTest. On top is the code to test the fib function. The first thing that you'll notice if you're used to writing unit tests is that this is just a function, not a class like in unit test. The second thing you'll notice is there are no self.assert statements, just regular assert statements. So this is just a simple example to illustrate that PyTests are just functions. That example was really simple. Here is a more complex example illustrating a common scenario. Your test requires a setup and a teardown. PyTest uses the concept of fixtures to provide setup and teardown. On top, we have a fixture, the function named a dependency. You'll notice that the fixture is an input to the test's function. You'll also notice the fixture is written as a generator. The code above the yield is a setup, and the code below is the teardown. If you run this test code, you will see this output, first in setup, then in the test code, then in teardown. And this is amazing to me. This is dependency injection. PyTest takes care of running setup and teardown. And if you thought that was amazing, this is going to be even cooler. This is a real example. Here's where the power of fixtures really shines. It illustrates their modularity and how you can chain them together. In this example, I'm testing a REST API. The test case is the function at the bottom called test pricing API. And to test the REST API, I need two things. One, a logged in admin client, and two, the underlying database function. The pricing function fixture here creates the needed database function on setup and drops it on teardown. It's executing SQL. And so in order to execute SQL, I need a database connection, which is also a fixture. And this chaining of dependencies continues like this, as you can see. The database connection fixture requires a database. And so this is really powerful. These fixtures are modular and reusable, and you can link them together. A side note, the DB and admin client fixtures are provided by the PyTest Django module. Okay, so now you've seen a few examples showing the power of PyTest. You know that PyTest can find doc tests where unit tests cannot. You know that PyTests are written as functions, not classes like in unit tests. And you saw how PyTest fixtures are modular and reusable. These differences result in fewer lines of code, and you only need one tool to write tests and run them. But don't take my word for it. Here's a real test case that's written both in unit test and in PyTest. On the right is the unit test. On the left is the PyTest. And you'll see the differences that we just talked about. The unit test is written as a class and has a setup method, whereas the PyTest is a function. The PyTest is a function and has a fixture to provide setup. So this results in about 12 lines difference there. So we can now declare a winner. PyTest wins. The one caveat is that there's a little bit of a learning curve with PyTest fixtures, but I hope that this introduction encourages you to adopt the power of PyTest. Thank you.